Green Arrow issue 13, Benjamin Percy writing and Otto Schmidt on art.
Can I just say this has one of my favorite covers this week, I think. I love it.
Football helmet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
with the arrow through it. It just looks great. It's really simple, but, you know.
Yep.
Do you know what? So obviously we've praised the artists on Green Arrow a lot, but one of the things I really like about the art in this issue is at the end of the issue, Ollie goes to a football game,
Yep.
a football stadium, and it does that thing, like the art's so good for this that when it has that panel at the top of the page where it shows you the stadium, and then it shows the crowd and whatever, it feels like big and epic. It doesn't feel like skimpy. It feels like that moment in a movie where you cut to a scene where you've got thousands of extras, which
It
is
feels like a
ridiculous.
proper establishing
Yeah.
shot.
Yeah, it does. It feels like a properly establishing shot, and it doesn't feel like, oh, it's an art. So he's drawn some dots for heads, and it legitimately feels. You feel the bright lights of the stadium. You feel the.
It's even, when he's falling down, and it's at the bottom of that same page. You can see people on like every seat except like a couple where the tickets haven't sold.
Yeah.
It just feels so realistic.
And it's also it's based off
style.
of Century League Field, which is Seattle's football stadium where the Seahawks play, and so the fact that they got it so well.
So this issue has Oliver and Dinah talking about stuff. They have some nice moments. They also have building Oliver's new base, which is going to be like a treehouse out in the woods, which everyone's helping with. There's some fun banter with
This
Henry.
is so Robin Hood.
It's so Robin Hood.
It is.
This is when they're actually speculating who this killer is, who's blaming Ollie on the murders, and they suggest everyone. They suggest Roy. They suggest Shadow. They suggest Emmy. Everyone who they could possibly think of. Even Tommy Merlin gets brought up.
Tommy freaking Merlin.
Yeah.
Like, you just couldn't say Merlin. You had to make it Tommy.
They had to do it, didn't they?
They did, and I feel this is again Percy going to like the pulp elements and like the grindhousey. Like we're gonna play with expectations. There, but that page where they're talking about it, Tommy Merlin looks pretty messed up.
Yeah,
like he's got that evil grin.
Yeah.
So other stuff that happens in this issue, Oliver tries to go to like the murder scene of one of the early on, and like it turns out not to be a good idea, which Black Canary kind of tried to warn him about, but of course he didn't listen.
She has some of my favorite moments in this issue.
Oh yeah, Dinah's like sort of like stealing the cop uniform and sneaking into the police station to look up stuff.
I was like, "Hey, beautiful," and then she slams his head down.
He says, "You're a knockout," and she just goes, "Sure am." Smack.
I love it so much. It's just, do you know what I like about it? And again, this is complimenting the art. Is the shirt looks too big for her when she puts on the police shirt, and she's like got it like tucked in, but it's too baggy, and it looks great, and it sells the moment. But at the same time, she has been a badass and being stealthy and like, knocking people out, and the whole thing's just a lot of fun. So
Well, we also and then Seattle secret police that are busting up.
Yeah, you say secret police. I'd call them a full-on SWAT team that are just going and murdering people. But
but they're not working for Seattle. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because we see this disgruntled cop in an interview, like not an interview. I should say interview, but like he's being disciplined by his boss.
He didn't shoot out.
Yeah.
And he has a cool mug that says "Insert donut here."
Yeah.
Yes.
Which, you could say that the cops are not getting a fair shake here in Green Arrow because they're supposed to be opposition to Ollie, who's a vigilante and all this. But I feel like this is the first time we're getting a proper right cop because he's like a desk sergeant or a captain.
I feel like we've had the idea that not all these cops are great, mirroring some real world issues lately. Right. But this kind of feels like it's leaning into, hang on, they're not all bad. There are some good ones too, and I feel like we're going to get that with this stuff going forward.
Yeah, because he puts him on leave, and even's like, if it was up to me, you wouldn't be paid, but that's not how things go. And it's the keep wanting to say Sheriff Nodding, but it's not. It's very close. I think it's Sergeant Nodding.
Chief Westberg is the guy. The other one is it just says Notting. Sergeant.
Yeah. Sergeant Nodding.
Yeah, so we
again
see
playing up to Robin Hood.
Yeah, we see he's one of the main guys in the secret police, as Matt said, who's just going and murdering people. We also have Broderick's like grooming the mayor to be his puppet for the city by giving him a room full of prostitutes and whatever.
Hookers
else.
and blow, man. That's what changes the world.
And we should mention that the whole football stadium bit at the end is one of the football players gets killed with an arrow, and then Oliver tries to like jump out and like stop it or whatever, and then one of the cheerleaders is like, "It was him, he did it," and Oliver's standing there in the middle of the football stadium holding an arrow, and everyone thinks he's just killed this guy.
He doesn't help himself, does he?
He does not.
I mean,
no.
this entire arc is just, man, he just really just goes.
Every time he tries to help,
yeah,
he messes himself up even more.
yeah.
So that's your big cliffhanger. But like I say, obviously the art's the big standout, but the story's pretty solid here as well. And I'm curious.
Yeah, I'm enjoying this arc. I think a little more than the train arc, just because it doesn't feel as fanciful and more grounded.
I like the train arc a lot. The ones I had the problem with were the island.
Yeah, and I feel like, no pun intended, but the train arc did put us back on the right tracks.
Yeah,
I know. I'm sorry.
But I'm just saying, if we're comparing 2 issues to 2 issues, I'm enjoying this a lot. So.
I'm enjoying this. I'm glad they're back in the city and they're setting up his new base, because it feels like, we're setting up the sort of the central hub for the rest of the series. Where, because as much as I enjoy them going on the little flights of fancy, I'm kind of glad that they're back in the city and they're dealing with city problems. They're not off on an island. They're not off on a train. They're not off doing whatever.
This kind of feels like a sequel to the first arc.
Yeah.
Whereas it was like a little break in the middle, and now back to the main story.